Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video I'm going to be talking about the books I use to help me write TTRPGs and also my novel. Now these aren't conventional trade books on how to write an adventure or be a great dungeon master. They're geared towards storytelling, writing convincing characters and creating a meaningful plot. Depending on the game you want to run, you may not be as invested in the storyline or character development, which is fine. So I wanted to set that expectation before I continue. So the books I'm going to be talking about are the Writers Helping Writers series, which are thesauruses covering a wide range of subjects and topics. There are 9 in total, and you don't need the full collection. There might just be something you feel you need more help with, and you could just buy that book. To begin, we have the Conflict Thesaurus. Now I made a video on the different types of conflict you can bake into your games. I think there are 6, and I'll link to it below. This book covers that, but so much more. But for budding game writers, I'd recommend the Villain in the Room chapter, as it outlines the different qualities a villain should have and how to use them effectively in your storytelling. The Occupation Thesaurus is pretty self-explanatory, but it doesn't just offer a list of jobs and how they align with your characters. No, it includes chapters such as motivations behind career choice, how jobs can support story structure, and using different vocations as thematic devices. So let's take the theme sacrifice. Perhaps something happens to a character that forces them to give up on their dream of becoming an artist, as they need financial stability. Consequently, they choose a career that is arguably more mundane, but secure. The Urban World Building Thesaurus covers what I've touched upon in several videos, for example, using your setting to mirror the theme or state of emotions of your characters. In the Setting Matters, the Importance of Where chapter, it covers just that. It states that the right setting acts like a musical score and gives each scene or encounter a deeper emotional intensity through mood and symbolism. So yeah, think of this when you want characters in an adventure to go through some sort of emotional turmoil. What does the world around them look like? How can you intensify the gaming experience by leaning into this? The Rural Setting Thesaurus I found to be particularly useful, as I don't really read a lot of books that are set in the countryside. They are very urban, and likewise I don't feel comfortable writing rural settings. I often question myself in what I'm writing, like am I writing too much or too little? The Common Setting Snags chapter also discusses this, and it talks about how deeply descriptive passages of natural environments can be off-putting for some readers. Not all, mind. However, I'm a person who easily gets bogged down in too much detail, which is why I think I struggle to write these types of natural environments, as I don't really enjoy reading about them in depth. The solution the Rural Setting Thesaurus gives is one I've also mentioned in this channel, in that you should use your setting in some way, rather than describing it for the sake of describing it. Examples of this are using it to evoke a mood or foreshadow certain events. Just make sure you've included enough to ground your readers in the world. Of course, if you like long descriptions and enjoy that style, that's fine. This is all very subjective. The Positive Trait Thesaurus helps you create a character worth rooting for. It includes ways to write needs and morals that influence a character's strengths. When done well, it forms a cornerstone of their personality. Also, before I move on, writing a relatable personality is incredibly difficult, as our personalities are what make us human, so of course incredibly complex and nuanced. What I really like about this book is that it has a chapter on why a particular character doesn't evoke intrigue. Despite all your best efforts, there may be an occasion where players or readers just don't resonate with your characters. Unrealistic characters, inconsistent arcs, inconsistent stakes, and insignificant villains are all factors that could affect how your characters are perceived. The Negative Trait Thesaurus is one of my favourites, as this is where we can learn about flaws and their role within the character arc. There is also a very helpful section on the role of flaws in relationships and how to create friction. It helpfully breaks down the manifestation and outcome of relationship friction into 3 different types: sparks, fireworks, and explosions. Not only that though, it also shows you how to incorporate them into your story or adventure. Also, in case I've not got this across, there is a whole list of negative traits in the book on account of it being a thesaurus, and each has a definition, a list of related traits, and possible causes. If we take the childish trait, for example, it's defined as being marked by immaturity or a lack of experience. Similar flaws listed are babyish, immature, infantile, juvenile, and puerile. But more interestingly, potential causes are also listed, such as a lack of life experience or a sheltered or overprotective upbringing, and also smothering caregivers. The Emotional Wound Thesaurus does, well, just that. It explores the different emotional wounds people can acquire over a lifetime. Now, I advise caution when using this book, as exploring a character's wound that may be close to some of your own could stir up some deeply unpleasant feelings. The last book in this collection is the Emotional Thesaurus. Now, come to think of it, I think this was actually the first book published in the series. Anyway, in addition from the actual thesaurus section, it also includes helpful chapters, such as using dialogue to write emotion. What I like about this chapter is that it includes points on combining verbal and non-verbal elements. As we all know, body language, or what isn't spoken, is just as important as what is. In terms of the thesaurus section, it not only defines the emotion, but the physical signals and behaviours that manifest as a consequence of that emotion. Other helpful suggestions include internal sensations, mental responses, acute or long-term responses, and even escalations. I think I've missed out 2 of the books in this series as they're expansions of Conflict and Emotion Thesauruses. Now, I do use a few more books outside this collection, but I've realised I've spent a considerable amount of time already on this video. But if you found what I've said useful, please do like and subscribe, as it's a great way to support the channel. Anyway, that's all for today, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.